want you now. Your time has come. Now gaze deep into your mind. Well, some people are unkind, and I'm not really sure, I wonder why. They go to Golden Gate Park to drink beer, to drink beer, to drink beer, to drink beer, to drink beer.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Fullpint podcast. This is a show where we talk about current trends and topics in the world of beer with some of the most interesting, famous, and influential members of the beer industry. I'm your host, Danny Fullpint, co-founder of the Fullpint.com. Today we are joined by N.A. Poe, owner and operator of Poe's Sandwich Joint and Poe's Sidepiece out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But before we begin this episode, we'd like you to know that you can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the podcast platforms there are. Now let's welcome to the show owner and operator of Poe's Sandwich Joint and Poe's Sidepiece. How's it going, brother?
Dan, it's good to fucking be here. I've never been on a beer podcast, but I am honored to be a pothead on a beer podcast run by a pothead.
Yeah, so good. That's right. You got that's pretty accurate. So for the listeners and the viewers out there wondering how does this tie in with the Full Pint's regularly scheduled programming, Poe runs a sandwich shop, now two of them. The first one out of the original Human Robot over on 5th Street in Philadelphia. Now one over on Girard area. How did this partnership start off with you and Human Robot?
Well, Dan, I was in between businesses. I started my first business and then it just really didn't work out. Not because of people didn't like it, just like in a partnership arena. And Jake from Human Robot sent me a message and asked me if I wanted to put my place in there, which already kind of had some legs. I jumped in there a few months before they started. They started up, they delivered the goods across the board with the beer, which you obviously know. And I was inspired to continue just to create great food, for them. And we've had, you know, pretty interesting success story in a fucking one of the more fucked up times. Like, damn, we're gonna look back on like this decade as like the digital Great Depression. And like when you read about the Great Depression in a book, it's like, oh, it was fucking 10 years. Like everyone was fucking jumping out of windows and shit, whatever, right? But when you're actually living in it, I feel like you don't understand it. Like, like when my son Luca is fucking 20 and he's reading about like the fucking 2020 like era, it's probably going to be the dark shit that we're currently living in. So I feel grateful and blessed to be able to be in a position that during these dark times, people want to fucking take down my sandwiches and pair them with Human Robot beer. And I'm just trying to do the best I can in a fucked up world.
Right. Well, and at first I kind of rolled my eyes at the people who were like, yeah, we haven't recovered since 2020, 2021. But I'm starting to understand better. It's like, yeah, it is one for the books. So I guess there's a tale out there. You were on another podcast, non-beer podcast, where you talked about being and I'm just paraphrasing here. You were kind of a kingpin, a cannabis kingpin, got busted because you were, stuff all wasn't completely legalized yet. You buried some money in your backyard, got out of the pen, dug up the money, and that was what is funding your restaurant ventures at the moment.
Yeah, and I mean, well,
Close.
actually, Dan, yeah, it's pretty close. But the only thing I would say that I would modify is that money's all fucking clean now. Like that original motherfucking 100 grand is like long gone, and I'm very happy to be a tax-paying citizen, in Philadelphia, a homeowner, and father of a first grader,
Yeah.
and an owner of two businesses, from essentially an immigrant Italian family. That my dad was a plumber, my mom was a housewife. I didn't do well in college. I always made money. I hustled my way through, the pot game, made my name for that. Also provided a lot of medicine for people in Pennsylvania before the state of Pennsylvania was doing so. It was just a topic I usually don't give up because when I was busted throwing these huge weed parties, everyone wanted to look at like, well, here's this guy that was an advocate that turned capitalist, et cetera, right? But we were providing a great time for our community, and then we were giving people access to medicine, at said parties. And then, when you're younger, you're doing shit, you think it's going to last forever. Like, dude, we were making like fucking 10 grand a party, like me and my wife were like fucking on money when we like get home and shit. And then like, a year later, we're both doing 3 weeks in like fucking max lockup. And then, when I got out, I just, I didn't know who I was. I'll never forget my wife. I was on the couch when we got out of jail, and she was like, I was in like a fetal position. She was like, "Is this all you are? Or are you just like, are you like a fucking pot dealer?" Like, and 12 years later, I own two businesses. I got a beautiful fucking like family, and I'm glad I got out when I did, because at the end of the day, the corporatization of cannabis, to a certain extent, I still buy black market farm to table from pretty much the same fucking guys, that we were contracting to come down and provide medicine.
Right.
Because in the New England area, you have the caregiver program. So it's like, you're a caregiver. You can grow fucking 5 plants for me, 5 plants for this motherfucker, whatever, down the line, right? And then in Rhode Island, which is basically run by like the fucking mafia, there's just like warehouses full of like pot, and it's such a small state that if you want pot, you probably are growing it or have access to it, right? So like creating a corridor of like craft growers from New England, which is one of my favorite places in the whole fucking country,
Yeah, I'm
and
moving back.
it's
I'll be going back
wonderful.
to New England. Yep.
Like, 15 years ago, if in 15 years from now, if I could buy like a house in like Providence, like everyone minds their own fucking business, dude. It's like pretty interesting spot, but um so I'm glad I got out of that game when I did, before it was corporatized. You even look at New Jersey, which has legal recreational pot. Like, dude, I'll be in the car with my fucking kid driving on 95, looking up and seeing like recreational cannabis in New Jersey, right? Still don't have it here. I went to jail like for it. Like, I'm gonna have to explain to my kid someday what I got pinched for, and he's gonna fucking like laugh, right? But even in the 10 years since there was um marijuana decriminalization, which the Philly media used to like, I fucking farted, they would have write about me, right? But like, I'm pretty critical of the administration. I'm critical of the mayor. I'm critical of policy, because like now I am a motherfucking taxpayer, dude. Like now I do need these services, right? Um, but we still have the free zone that we created with decriminalization, because you can have up to an ounce and 7 grams of hash on you. It's actually in the long run better than legalization, because I've been to Amsterdam, where all we're missing in Philly is like a fucking nice cappuccino with, your pot that you can buy in the black market, where your options are to go to New Jersey and buy some trash that was, you know, grown by people that, aren't from the cannabis like game. And, um, it's really frustrating to see like the potholes in Philly and the fucking SEPTA situation in Philly, and
Oh my
just the
god, dude,
situation
that
of,
septa is so horrible.
bro, we went to Nine Inch Nails the other night. Like, I got on the fucking train afterwards, right? It literally looked like pre-Giuliani, like fucking like
Yeah,
Manhattan. Like,
dude, it
you know
was
what
the
I mean?
apocalypse.
Dude, it's
Dude,
like class of
I w-
Nukem High, bro. It's like a fucking 1,000 people in the train. Dude, I got the fuck off. I'm like, dude, I ain't trying to act like I'm like some
dude,
fucking
same
yuppie.
thing. When I was back home a couple months ago, I told my dad, "Why don't we try and we did the Human Robot Sud," and I said, "Why don't we stop there and then go see the Phillies, right? And not have to take an Uber." And it was fucking dude, we watched like a cop mug a little black girl. We
Dude,
There was no signs.
it,
There was
it,
no. It was just horrible. We had a. They have this like app system that doesn't work, and then the ladies, behind the glass are just laughing at you.
Oh, dude, I was on LSD. I was trying to fucking like do like Apple Pay on the goddamn thing. There's like people behind me. Like, it was just a mess. And like the thing is, the crazy part of it is, if you fucking taxed and regulated in the state, not that I would fucking buy it, right? But that you could literally like solve all those problems. But like, I went from a pot advocate to a pot capitalist to a business owner, and essentially, with being a parent and an owner of two businesses and a fucking husband and all this shit, right? Like, I don't have time to like do that. Like, the police in Philly, it's crazy. Like, our new place on Girard Avenue, which is like more of a gentrifying neighborhood, got broken into like 2 times, over the weekend. And like, I blasted the cops, you know, like they like now I'm a fucking business owner, dude. Like, I'm in here and I'm like, yo, like, you're sitting down by the college, and our place has been broken into 2 nights. Like, you got to have some street smarts as well. As like, a new business pops up in the gentrifying neighborhood. you see how many fucking people are there spending money, like the neighborhood is going to like react to that, and the police need to like secure, small businesses. And this is the fifth largest city in America. It's a world-class city. It has amazing sports. It has like five or six different boroughs now at this point that you could go to. Like, Dan, you come to Philly and you could fucking spend like 3 days in each fucking neighborhood, eat your heart
Yeah.
out, do a
Yep.
bunch of things, have a good time. I'm trying to raise a kid in the city, and at the end of the day, the police get raises, the teachers have to fight tooth and fucking nail, and the fucking garbage is gonna have to fight tooth and nail. And at the end of the day, now I'm in a position where I'm like a business owner and I just want to be supported because I have always been a
Well,
community builder.
you've bought into the system anyway. So it's
Sure.
like, here you are, you're doing what, they're saying is the right side of things. So they got to step
Right.
up.
And the two cops were in my place, and like I fucking was like yelled at them, and they put their heads down and they fucking walked out. And now, bro, I'm 46. So some of these fucking cops, like, if I fucking got my girl pregnant when I was 21, they could be my fucking kids. And like it's hard enough for me to fucking respect a cop, let alone looking at some fucking fuckboy that grew up playing Call of Duty that doesn't realize that he may need to camp at my motherfucking restaurant when it just opened, because at the end of the day, it is a crime-ridden neighborhood, and there is a lot of young families that live there that go to school with my kid,
Sure.
and I'm willing to invest in the community to make it a better place, provide a place for people that are invested in that community to enjoy a fucking sandwich and a beer, and like not get robbed. And I feel like that, local government has been pretty non-responsive to that. And in a big city like this, like, after BLM, there was like a 4-year work stoppage. I mean, Dan, it's like a fucking Grand Theft Auto map, and I'm running around town and I'm like trying to survive, and there's no sense of security. And that's, a shame, because I'm not willing to trade my freedoms for security. But now that I am, like you said, invested in the system, I would like the resources of the system to serve me as a business person. And I think that I'm well within my rights to do so,
Sure. So let's I want to go back once more about your relationship with Human Robot. A lot
Yeah.
of breweries try to do the brew pub model where you walk in, you would get a Human Robot food menu. It's all integrated. Why did you and the boys decide to have two separate entities?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and give Jake Atkinson a lot of credit for that. He had a vision that, one, they were smart enough to not want to deal with the food, which is, guess what? Cost intensive, labor intensive. It's always fucking shifting. You have to employ people, have to employ food runners. Um, you know, it it makes sense for someone to try to concentrate on their craft to bring me in. But because I am, not to toot my own fucking horn, pretty good at my craft and mentioned in a lot of the same sentences, like this best cheesesteak, this best sandwich, this best bread, right? It's a great fucking city with like a diverse fucking dining scene. Like no one invented the fried meatball, no one invented the chicken cutlet, like, so I feel like that when I'm mentioned in the same sentences as the people that are the fucking, top of that game, that's just an honor to me. Because guess what? I don't have any fucking culinary experience. Like, I was a fucking waiter, I was a fucking pot dealer, and then like a fucking like businessman. At the end of the day, I always kind of cooked, from having an Italian background and doing that type of shit. But I'm kind of pulling this out of my ass, and then and to be mentioned in the same sentence as people that like fucking literally like have like a notepad next to their bed for like ideas of stuff, it's an honor, because at the end of the day, like the pot game here, I kind of, created it, even though I will definitely pay my respect to California, Amsterdam, all the other motherfuckers that tried to create like a free zone, right? Like,
Right.
but, and then now I've transferred over to like Pose, and to be honest, like I'm just kind of happy that I transitioned with that. And I feel like that what we do there is kind of the envy of the beer scene. And I feel like that the crossover of customers is like fucking phenomenal for both of us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I encourage more breweries to first fucking contact me for franchising, and then
That's
secondarily,
brilliant.
to find a good partner that cares about what they do, that wants to has a nice following. Maybe he doesn't have the views on 9/11 that I do. Maybe he isn't a felon like myself. Maybe he's just like a nice guy. But someone that's concentrating on that and concentrating on that gives you like I never feel alone. Like starting a new business, especially in this fucking economy, is like
Right.
insane, right? But like for Human Robot to find a building and be like, well, what go Poe, what the fuck are you doing there? Like, I'll fucking do this, I'll do that, you do this, I'll do that. Boom, like 6 months is open. Like, and I encourage anyone that wants to do something to like manifest it into their life. Like everything I do starts as an idea and then it gets its way into like a notebook, right? And then it's a meeting, right? And then it's you're looking at a space and like dreaming in this world, like it can be very real, and I think you really just have to start making the moves to do things. So like I'm a little high, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, like, what we've created with Human Robot out of thin air,
Yeah,
is a beautiful thing. And I feel like
it is
that
a beautiful thing.
across
Now,
the
you've mentioned the franchise thing, and it's funny, and it's like you're saying, you're manifesting it, but how thin can you be spread, brother?
well, this is what it comes down to for me, Dad, right? This place.
You are the brand. You are.
Well, that's also, but the thing is, I'm also 46 fucking years old, right? And the thing is, I'm exhausted. And I said to my wife last night, I take a little acid after 9 Inch Nails, and I sometimes will have like a hour and a half chat, like in the backyard, and I get home. Because she doesn't want someone on acid on top of her. But we were talking about the idea of how much do you actually like want to do. This place was a couple miles from my house. It was with the partners that I had, you know. I'm a pretty simple guy. I'm not a materialistic like guy. Like if I wanted to be a rich asshole, I could like own 7 posts. But as I get older, I realize like how much of this do you want to actually leave on the table? I talked to Ocelot Brewing. I was like a cunt hair away from doing a deal with Ocelot. I fucking love Adrian. Me and my boy Jason Cannon that I met via them. I went down there for the weekend, had a great time, great brewery, great reputation, been around for 10 years, had a good time. And then they wanted like 400 racks to fucking build in like the DMV. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to put a motherfucking kitchen in here, like. So, what I'd say to people, so for me, if I took it to like the next level, like this post side piece thing is cold food, and now we're actually converting over to like meatballs, roast pork, roast beef, like kind of just like a hearty, like come fucking watch the first half of the game and have a meatball sandwich and two fucking Howard tails or whatever. And that's what we're starting to get into now. Like I'm crossing the menu over on September 11th, and the Eagles start on the 4th, and we're gonna put the meatballs in and start integrating more like hot food into the space because, like, dude, I get bored easy. Like I
Right.
am essentially like a creative, right, but not necessarily culinarily. And although I am forced to be, um, so
It's
and
got to
for
just be in your heart. There's lots of people that drop their $50,000 for a culinary education that are just going to make grand slams. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I've met a lot of people, where just they are trained in that capacity, and like I just like I built my business around the idea of like all the ways that I was treated when I worked for people. Like, hey, I'm doing catering for you. You're making like 5 racks. Like, you're paying me 20 an hour, right? Like, and then you take all that fucking money and I do all the work. And like, what I try to do with my business is like, we put out a nice fucking catering thing. Like, give them the old Jimmy Conway, like $50 in their fucking like pocket. Like, you know what I mean? And cultivating people, In-N-Out Burger. I read an article about them in California. They
The best.
overpay their fucking people, right? But guess
Yep.
what? They're
They
not
don't have
looking for
turnover.
jobs on the fucking toilet on their days off. They have a living wage, right? And in this day and age, I'm trying to provide that for people. I feel bad. Like apartments are expensive. Guys in their 30s have to live with like another fucking like dude. Like that's fucking tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless you're partnered up, you're living with another dude. So I'm trying to create like the idea of like, well, now you work with me, not for me. I got fucking
Right.
ample opportunities. And based off the personnel that I kind of am working with, that if an opportunity were to come my way, like this weekend I got a call and the lady said, yo, she has a nice little dark, like dank fucking cocktail bar across from a venue in Philly.
Right.
It's a huge weekend for concerts. She has a nice little kitchen, really can't handle it, and asked me to come in for fucking like 2 days on Friday and Saturday night. I'm gonna grab 5 of the fucking hot shits from fucking Pose and slam them out her fucking window. You know what I mean? Like, so you can make money with me. And I feel like that in this day and age, coming from someone that wasn't in from the employer class, you know.
Right.
It's been, kind of like an ethical struggle for me to figure out that stuff. That being said,
It's hard.
now that I see the beer business and all of these businesses, nowadays, what's going on, you know, I'm not necessarily going to leave money on the table because it's a fucking Friday afternoon. I'm fucking jerking off with you, right? So like I do
Right.
have time that like if I
Uh,
wanted to do something. So in an opportunistic capacity, as I traverse late capitalism, I'm going to suck every fart out of its dying asshole because like at the end of the day, like there's money and shit. Like, people want to eat, people want to drink good. Like for me, like I'm not materialistic, but I want good drugs. I want good pot, just to classify them into two different things. And then I want good, booze. I want good beer. I want to wear nice clothes. That's the end of the line for like my materialism. And I feel like that um it's fucked up for a lot of people, but you know, people that are 21 to 32 with dispensable income, people that are 35 to 52 with dispensable income, like that's my market. Like they're gonna be able to pay for a sandwich, like regardless. Like my sandwiches are like 17.50 now, Dan. But guess what? If I adjusted for inflation, they'd be over $20. Well, you wouldn't fucking pay that, and I would be fucking embarrassed to charge you that. So as a
right.
business owner, I'm actually losing money, right? And it still looks kind of like gaudy, but like my only job is if I charge you 17.50, I want you to fucking look down and
Like,
not think
goddamn,
of
that's worth it.
and not think of money, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm willing to pay for that $100 gram. I'm willing to pay for whatever the fuck, if it's where it's supposed to be. And I feel like that we're creating like almost like a connoisseur culture. And to be honest, the beer, business is rooted in connoisseur culture, especially, obviously when you're looking at fucking domestics and importeds and, corporates,
Sure.
obviously. But like, in the part of the business that we enjoy, it's basically the pot connoisseur scene in a beer capacity. And, I've really enjoyed over the last couple of years learning who does best in that arena
Well, it's
and
funny.
and
So,
being a partner with one of them.
yeah, so I have the typical, South Jersey, Philly area father, right? Who's always his whole life drank PBR, and it was like, oh, I like the craft beer, but it's too expensive. Once he started, I introduced him to Human Robot. He's like, you know what? That is fucking worth the money. Like, I don't care that it's $100 for a case of beer. He's like, I rather drink two of those a day, and I'll find some other ways to save some money. But like you said, it's when you have something that is worth it, it's worth it. I know it's
Yeah, and I'm very sad that like a lot of different types of people are affected, generationally by this. But like I'm in my mid 40s now, like I'm on my feet, like I'm actually adult. It took me fucking like about 41 or 2 years,
yeah, that's
and like,
debatable, but
hey. But I think that where we are with these businesses and human robot, I mean, like, across the board, like I'm not really even a beer drinker too much, but like their lagers, are just like, it's fucking August now, dude. Like, give me 4 ounces of that fucking Hallertau, and you take it right off the thing and you fucking put it down. And it's like refreshing. They're just putting their tin hoagie out now, which is like, you know, uh, you know, kind of basically a fucking Coors Light, right? But like,
yeah,
they have a sense of humor. They create great beer, and like, to be honest, I've tasted like a lot of fucking beer at this point, and like, you know, all due respect to everyone that has a brewery, but like, if you got the money to put it together, right, and then you can buy the fucking equipment, anyone can fucking do it. And the same in my business, right? You can open a sandwich shop, but to be uh, you know, in the tier of things that we are with Human Robot, I'm really happy to be in business with them.
yeah, you're in great company. Let's talk sandwiches for a minute. To me, there's the three most comforting sandwiches out of Philly. There would be the hoagie, the Italian hoagie, which
Yeah,
is funny because I'm from South Jersey, where you could have an American hoagie, a tuna hoagie, all that shit.
yeah,
The cheesesteak and the roast pork. Who make? I mean, I know you're talking about getting on these lists, these pay to play lists, the
yeah.
hype, the influencers, but who makes the best of all three of those?
I would say as far as which it's roast pork. Roast pork is
Hoagie,
probably John's roast pork, or there's a place called Porco's. It's kind of like a new wave type of joint that's pretty cool. Like I'm a
Okay.
big fan of like when they take like the chicharron or like the skin of it, you know, and then you could get like the cracklings on like the
A little bit of
motherfucker.
bark.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the next time you're over here, I'll take you over there. That's a cool place. As far as the cheesesteaks, it's funny. Like someone just said something the other day about like there's an old place called Phillips on Passyunk Avenue that like when we were kids, it's like a mob joint. When it's like 3 a.m., you could go to Pat's or Gino's or whatever, or you could go to this place that was kind of like that, but like there was no one there and it was like just as good. Like I'll never go out to eat a cheesesteak, and I sell more cheesesteaks than I would like to. And I feel like the debate of what's the best cheesesteak when the fucking ingredients involved are like so fucking like minimalized. I feel
Right.
like that is like almost like, well, what the fuck are we like talking about? You know what I mean? To a certain extent. Um, and I'm not trying to be an asshole,
Yo,
but
stop touching your phone.
sorry. Um, but as far as the Italian hoagie too, I think we do a great Italian hoagie. I mean, I do gabagool, supersod, hot ham, on a Sarcone's roll. It's a over 100-year-old, you know, bakery. I mean, like everyone in Philadelphia is thriving, and as Philadelphia grows, you there's places for you to do everything. Like I have there's a Chiefs bar in South Philly. I have a residency there for the season.
Yeah.
You know, um, there's all different neighborhoods
I
in
couldn't
Philadelphia.
imagine putting a Chiefs bar in Philly. That's just fucking bizarre.
I call it a hemorrhoid on the ass of Philadelphia, Dan. That's my personal take on it. But guess
I
what?
mean, I
Like,
still love Andy Reid, but still not enough to fucking put a bar there.
well, yeah, the thing is with Andy Reid, if they didn't beat us in that one Super Bowl, it'd be like a lot more stomachable. But like now, like they've become good friends of mine.
Yeah.
They're real old South Philly guys, and like everyone tries to recreate the dive bar. But dude, like I go in there and I like it's like a fucking vortex, right? Like, and you're just like sitting in there and you're just like, it's just simpler, you know? And it's like, I feel like there's a ton of nostalgia for like the 90s and early 2000s right now. And like, I think it's cool because I lived it and I know it was pretty fucking cool, right? But like, everyone's kind of like going back to like, how do we feel something again and shit, you know? And it's not by creating new fucking dive bars. Like, this is a dive bar. Like, no, it isn't. It just fucking opened. Like, you know what I mean? Like, has anyone died here?
Yeah, the Charlies, right? Charlies.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah,
watch your ads. You
so I
you
guess
make the greatest ads, man.
well, you know, it's crazy when I started doing production, I was making like doing man on the street shit and doing like 5-minute videos in places, you know, 5-minute YouTube videos. And now, like with the data and analytics, you can see how long people watch your shit. And like, dude, I'm like in a frenzy trying to get as much fucking information as I can out of my fucking stupid mouth in like 45 seconds because, you know,
Yeah,
um,
there's
you
a
don't
little
like
science to it.
you know, and it's like, oh, 17 seconds was the average amount of time people watch this. And like, you know, I always say like Andy Warhol said everyone was gonna be famous for 15 minutes. And at the time it seemed like fucking like just like hell, right? You know, but now you look at social media, like any asshole can like get famous for like anything, right? So you're like competing with that, which is kind of like diluted the talent pool to a certain extent. But like I'm just glad that I have a comedic background and my reputation, so I can just literally just be who the fuck I am. And fairly unapologetically. And like, it's not like, dude, I've never said anything on the internet and like all of a sudden, like my fucking follower count is like dropping by the thousands. Like people know who I are, they know where I come from, they know what I mean, and they pretty much realize that I'm a fucking straight shooter and like ask around, right? So
But
like the
it's
thing is,
but it's the added value, like you said, anybody can have a sandwich shop, anyone can have a brewery, but you're providing on top of the sandwiches, you're providing entertainment, which is pretty neat. I lost
yeah.
your video. It's just a black box right now.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, could you tell me not to touch the fucking phone, asshole?
All
Hold on.
right.
There we go. I'm back. Back.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Whew.
Oof. Yeah, but yes, and as I get older, compartmentalizing, like, you know, it's crazy to like smoke a fucking like joint and like blow it on cheeseburgers and like do a shot and then like 2 hours later like pick my son up at school, you know? And like
Yeah.
as time goes on, like the character of Poe, which I think other than Abby Hoffman is like the second best fucking like political prank guy in ever. I don't know if they have a list for that, but put me on that. But wait, what was I talking about before I went all egomaniacal then?
All right, folks, let's talk about Mind Haze. Firestone Walker's lineup of hazy IPAs that doesn't just blur the lines between reality and beer, they straight up obliterate it. You've got the OG Mind Haze IPA, juicy, tropical, and smooth enough to make you think, maybe I do love hazy IPA. Then there's Mind Haze Brain Melter, an Imperial Hazy IPA that comes in at a brain-bending 9% ABV, because sometimes sessionable just isn't in the cards. And if you're feeling particularly unhinged, Mind Haze Cosmic Crusher is here to push the limits of human understanding, or at least your tolerance for an absurdly juicy 10% IPA. What's funny about Melter and Cosmic Crusher, they don't drink like strong beer, which is good and bad. And then there's Mind Haze Rage Turbo Radler, a hazy beer meets lemonade hybrid that exists purely to confuse beer purists and refresh the rest of us. It's big flavor, low bitterness, and exactly what you want after pretending to be productive all day. Mind Haze. Beer enlightenment, no meditation required. But seriously, folks, if you haven't tried these yet, what are you even doing? Oh, well, we were talking about I was talking about the added value of you being so entertaining. But
It's exhausting. The point
yeah.
was that it's exhausting, and at the end of the day, you like have to play ball in that capacity to do things. And as I get older, it's harder for me to be in character because it's not really like my life anymore. Like, but that's what you have to do to like sell nowadays. And the thing is, at the end of the day, like you really are going to get left in the dust if you're not creating content. And I feel like that I love that people enjoy the content that I do, but like my time would literally probably be better spent than fucking like acting like an asshole on the internet. But guess what? It pays the motherfucking bills.
Yeah, it does. Now, speaking of social media and cheesesteaks, I saw a clip last week. I don't know if you caught this. Pat's Steaks, Pat's and Geno's, all
Yeah,
blah blah blah. The guy, I don't know the character very well, but he was sitting there and completely railed on everybody for about what seemed like 3 minutes, saying, "We don't chop our steaks. We
that's
only use whiz. Fuck you, new age seeded roll motherfuckers."
well. Look,
And
I'm
I
not
was like,
trying to
well,
get.
that was entertaining, but
I'm not trying to get clipped myself, but um, those old school guys, Skinny Joey Merlino, reputed underworld figure, um, opened up a cheesesteak place, and it's in South Philly, and probably cutting into fucking them guys a little bit, and so I think there's kind of become like a cheesesteak, war going on down there, and like at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying is if you come to Pose and it's your first time in Philly, grab a fucking cheesesteak, right? But like, try the hoagie, try our chicken cutlet sandwiches, try the broccoli rabe. Like, there's an array of things for you to try, and I feel like that, you should do that. But yeah, like a lot of these guys are getting a little bit fucking like squirrely about it, like, at the end of the
yeah,
day,
what's
because
happening here?
look, dude, the margins are fucking razor thin in our business, dude. Like at
No, I know.
the end of the day, like fucking, what? There's a tariff on some fucking gabagool, Dan, and then I'm fucking, like what the fuck? Like what am I gonna do? Now you're gonna have a $19 fucking sandwich? Like I gotta take it in the ass, and that's actually part of the expansion. Is at the end of the day, Philly has grown in a positive way to have so many 8 to 10 quality neighborhoods that now I could put the side piece literally like 1.5 miles from the original human robot and still kind of create like a base of people from that neighborhood because now we're getting to Philly where it's like, yo, these 10, 12 blocks of this neighborhood, these 10 blocks of that neighborhood. So, it's interesting and it allows me to stay creative and, work on some other stuff. So I'm happy and I'm happy. I'm trying to be present. And I'm trying to appreciate everything, Dan.
So let me ask you this: the conversation around Cooper Sharp and seeded rolls being this newfangled. I don't know. There seems to be the old guard is very upset about these two. What I would consider improvements on the cheesesteak.
No doubt. And the thing is, I can pull up my 2019 Pose menu where I was using Cooper Sharp. And the thing is, this is the thing about it. It's the pissing contest of that. And it's like, of it being something that like is essentially like it's fucking meat and cheese. And Cooper Sharp, more than any cheese, makes it good. We do one with Cooper Sharp at the Pose. We do one with Wiz. We do one called My Blue Heaven, which is like a black and blue. And like
Right.
I can, and we do a pizza steak and we do like a long hot like steak. I would rather try to push it in that direction than argue over who's putting the best fucking meat and cheese in the table. Because guess what? I love like a fucking New York strip, like medium, fucking like little bit of like pepper, fucking blue cheese crumbles, a little bit of bacon. Put that in a steak. Let's talk about that then. You know what I mean?
Right.
While we're talking about what you're fucking stuffing in your face after you had fucking 18 fucking human robot Howard Tail Pilsners. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. It's just so funny. Like Cooper Sharp, like I hate to insult anybody, but it's just fucking American cheese. It's processed cheese here, and I don't think it's worth getting your panties in a bunch about it, be acting like it's some new school sin to put on a cheesesteak. It's just fucking American cheese.
Well, you know the thing is, dude, also too, like tying back to the culinary thing, like, dude, like I'm literally trying to like explore my mind to like figure out if we live in like a simulation. And I'm trying to like look for signs of like shit in my life and manifest things and shit like that. I ain't got time to fucking talk about rolls and fucking Cooper Sharp cheese, Dan. So like at the end of the day, like I'm in a great position. I got businesses with great fucking beer company, and I have enough time to free my mind. And at the end of the day, that leaves me little time for cheese debates.
All right, so here's some other shit then, just because I got a list of these
But
things.
Cooper Sharp is the fucking best, and Sarcone's Bakery is the best bakery in Philly, and Angelo's Pizzeria, which is born of Sarcone's, has the
Right.
best bread and the best fucking pizza in Philadelphia. And at the end of the day, everyone's got something to fucking say. You know what I mean?
It
Like,
always comes out of envy, though. So here's two other funny things that are very specific to your region. One is skimp culture, okay? And I mean, my father did it. Your old man probably did it. Everybody goes out at one time or another and feels like they're getting skimped and they have some memory. I got more last time. They're skimping.
sure.
Is why Philly just seems like Philly is it a socioeconomical thing where these people are, trying to get the best for the money, their hard-earned wages.
But
There's got to be some culture thing around calling out somebody skimping them all the time or ripping them off.
Well, I know on a corporate level, there's a thing called like shrink packaging where like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so say you get
Shrinkflation or whatever.
shrinkflation, whatever. So say you get a fucking thing of Pop Tarts, right?
Right.
Like they're actually literally like 1.5 inches like smaller. So like some asshole like realized that you could probably save like 10 million fucking dollars if every one of the fucking thing was like whatever, right? Um, but I've noticed as someone that does like to dine out that like, back when you could get gnocchi for like $16 and it'd be like a nice fucking dish, right? That's now 26, right? And then
Right.
the steak frites that used to be get for 26 are now fucking 36, right?
Right.
So the thing is you're pushing yourself up this level. And like in Philly, it's being like bought in a private equity capacity from like New York, like restaurant brands and
Right.
like
Restaurant
and
groups and shit.
corporate people building like fucking lofts and whatever and shit like that, right? Because guess what, if you're some asshole hipster from Ohio and you can't pay 1.1 million in fucking Brooklyn, you can get it for like 6 here, right? And then they bring the asshole restaurants from there, which people from Philly don't give a fuck. That's why like I thrive. Like when I hear like a new New York chain is like coming, restaurant group, to open their fucking like elevated Mexican, like I'm like, suck my dick, you know what I mean? Point being is that for me as a consumer, like I go to the butcher shop to make my meatballs. I'd rather grab fucking veal cutlets, a fucking New York prime, you know what I mean? Couple other fucking bacon from there and cook it in a cast iron in my house. So like I do understand, and from a pose perspective, I do my best, like I said before, to make sure that when you look at the product that I'm giving you, that what you're paying for it isn't coming to mind. Because Dan, I fucking walked into Wawa yesterday. I bought a fucking Three Musketeers, a Red Bull, and 2 packs of smokes. It's like 43.75. I didn't blink a fucking eye. I put my card in there. I walked out of the fucking store. Right? Let's think about it. The average person in America is making about $15 an hour with like a 20% like dollar devaluation like this year. Right?
Right.
So you go and you get 2 packs of smokes and a fucking whatever, like it's literally probably like 2 hours of someone's employment. Now I'm employing people in that arena, and what's crazy about that is that no one's trying to like burn down a target, right? For like holding your hours below insurance or paying you this jerk off like, rate. right? But like it's really hard for like a lot of people that out there, and I'm just glad that it's not fucking me, Dan. I'm glad it's not me. No, I'm kidding. Edit that.
No,
Oh,
I hear you. So another cultural thing, and I find this one more amusing than anything, is one-upsmanship, and especially in terms of food. Hey, I just had this fucking cheesesteak over at Poe's Sandwich Joint on Fifth Avenue. Oh no, that's no good. You got to go over to Johnny Joe's around the corner. They got the best one. You
sure.
can never have a conversation about food without being one-upped by somebody.
Well,
What is that about?
I feel like that in this fucking content creator culture, right? Um, it's funny as shit, dude. There's this young kid, right? He came to me when he had 500 followers. But dude, the dude had like no personality, was kind of mean and like rude, and wanted to become like a food like dude, right? So he came in, and I always give those guys a chance. I'm like, yeah, fucking like do it, whatever.
Sure.
And then now he's like at 3,500, and like he literally like he criticized that mafia dude Skinny Joey's like cheesesteaks, and it's like everyone that goes there like won't say nothing about it, but it's like, oh, it tastes like fucking like Jesus is sucking my dick, and this kid was like whatever. And that kind of competition, just in general, of that one-upsmanship is bred of that kind of like I dealt with so many influencers, which I handpicked during the opening of like this new restaurant because like,
Right.
it's like this is the thing, bro. You have 83,000 followers. You come in, right? You make your little fucking video. Then I get 4 new followers like at it. And like, look, my wife works for like a lawyer. Like if you have 83,000 followers and your engagement is fucking like 200 likes, well, then you bought like your fucking followers. Like the one thing I say about Pose, like 22,000 people have organically decided that they want to hear what the fuck's coming out of my mouth, which is like validated me to like have it come out of my mouth. So like when I opened this restaurant, I'm blacked out from Philly media. About a year ago, I'm at the fucking car show with my kid. I see a Philly police PPD recruitment thing, right?
Right.
I take it, I fill it out. Okay. I go through the whole process. Through the process, I am tagging Philadelphia police and I'm
I
saying,
watched that. That was good.
I'm a felon and I am doing this, right? Took it to the point that I shaved a mustache and I was outside. I can send you the video, you can link it here. And I was ready to go into the training. And if I didn't have a wife and kid and a business and didn't want to maybe get beat up, I would have went in and did the training. So I sent that to Philadelphia Magazine, who told me they're going to run a story about my like fucking departed, like esque, like fucking infiltration of the police department to make a point that like, what the fuck is going on? You're offering me 20,000 bonus. I'm a 2-time felon. You're letting me in here. So Philadelphia Magazine, who used to write about me all the time, there's caricatures of me, 8-page stories, all this fucking shit. Now I'm blacked out with them. They said, oh, we're going to run a story about it. They go to the mayor's office. They come back, story dies. So I've been blacked out of the Philly media, which is pay to play anyway. So what
Right.
I did to open fucking Post Sidepiece, I ran a contest where I got a motherfucking bus. I took them to a pot club. I picked 20 people. I put on this magic bus. I took them to my friend's underground pot club. We partied like crazy, and I took them back to fucking Post Sandwich Joint, and I gave them the whole fucking Post Side Piece menu. And guess what, Dan? I've seen 10 of those people in there with both my restaurants with their friends after that, and cultivating with your actual base where they understand, where the guy that owns the restaurant wakes up and he was fucked up at a concert last night and he wakes up and he's like, I hate everything today and I hate this, and then he makes you fucking laugh. Like, if that's my fucking job, Dan, you know what, I'm blessed. So like I'm doing my best to kind of get through these tumultuous times, raise a family, run a business in the in these times as stoned as I can with a fucking smile on my face. And along the way, I've met amazing people, including yourself, that allow me to continue to spend my time doing things that I enjoy. And in this day and age, that's a luxury.
Well, I never in a million years would want to run a brewery or make beer, but I would want to run a sandwich shop.
Let's go, Dan.
All right.
I'm at the point where maybe you just give me 50 grand and I just give you the fucking the little book, and then like I make stupid videos for you.
All right. We'll talk offline about that.
We should.
So a lot. We've talked. You've mentioned weed, and it's like ingrained in your culture. Do you remember how hard it was like 20, 30 years ago to fucking get weed?
Dude, I used to work with this girl. at like one of those like places where you like feed elderly folks and shit, like you know what
Yeah.
I mean, like. And she lived at like 63rd Street in West Philly, and I had this little crush on her, this black girl. She would like drive me home to like her brother, and we would get 5 for 20 fucking like bags. They were like
Yeah.
fucking
Nickel
like,
bags,
right?
dime
And
bags.
fucking like the sticks like sticking through them and like
Yeah.
whatever, and it's just crazy how far it's come. It's like it's funny. My wife grew up in LA, and she's a little bit younger than me, and this bitch was like smoking like
The
medical,
good shit.
like in the fucking like, dude, she's like 17, like, in fucking Simi Valley High School, like smoking like fucking like OG, like, shit from like, the early 2000s. The for me
Like
too,
that
like
Humboldt shit. Yeah.
dude, California, like LA indoor too, like is like always for me, like just always going to be like great because like it was just curated. Like I went to Amsterdam later in life, and I feel like I went last year with Kenny from Human Robot, and I feel like a lot of the Cali guys from the 90s probably went to Amsterdam like then and then came back and like tried to turn Cali into Amsterdam to a certain extent, right?
Sure.
And like when that medical law, was like I used to go out there in like '08, '09, dude, and like just get sent somewhere and just like load like the fuck up like crazy. Like, am I buying another suitcase like at Walmart like before I go home? Because I always flew with pot because I knew that they couldn't do anything to me. But like, I just I always loved Cali weed, man.
Now I'll
It's
tell
one.
you what though. So this is where I don't know how close you've watched it out here. They've over commercialized the dispensary pot.
Let me say this though, Dan. I was in Ventura, California about 2 weeks ago for a wedding.
Sure. Sure.
And one of Rachel's aunts who swore she never would ever has her little shop, right? So I go over with the 20% off plus the first time fucking discount, like whatever, etc. This is what I will say about California. The brands that have survived Lost Farms with edibles, they're like Trader's
Yep.
Joe's, like fucking edibles.
I
People are
know.
doing hash rosin gummies. The high end pot, like you brought me, like the CBX and like a couple of ones. Now you're north of 60 for
An eighth.
for an eighth, but guess what? You can smell it. And you know
Yeah.
what? Like I got like a fucking some fucking like crazy old OG fucking like strain, and I paid like 60 for it. And I brought it home and I rolled two fucking bones of it. And I'm like, this is fucking, awesome because California can be like Humboldt, where like,
Yes.
and I call a lot of the pot on the East Coast, I call it Dr. Fauci weed because like, I feel like, in the Mylar bag era, right? Like, oh, this is runts and you get a bag off of Amazon and then you're like fucking pulling shit from 2020 and you're throwing it in bags, you're throwing it across the East Coast. I'm all for farm to table, but I will say the dispensary thing in California, like I spent 500. I was there for 3 days, Dan. I go in, I'm like, give me a fucking couple nice live res fucking vape pens. Give me 10 bags of those edibles. Give me three of those Ace, right? And then like buy some other like jerk off shit, and they're like 400. Use a third of it. Throw the rest of my fucking backpack and go home. I like California.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
More.
I see that.
You know what
I
I mean?
just
Like,
so I would say about 10, 15 years ago, it was still half sketchy and the weed was better. So it
I
was
mean, yeah,
big like quart mason jars with golf ball nugs.
dude. I
Now
used to
it's
go and get
all
edibles.
cartoon fucking
I used to go get edibles.
packaging.
I used to go get edibles where I get sent to like what were they called? They were called when it was like 8 people. Like when it was like they were called a certain thing. Um a collective. When they
Right.
were
Exactly.
collectives.
Yep.
Okay. Like I would call me and my wife just started dating my first time on the West Coast. I'm hooked with everyone. They send me to these collectives. I mean,
Right.
dude, there'd be like a 750 fucking milligram like Rice Krispie treat,
Yes.
like there, yeah, dude, it
And it
was
was in
wild.
like some saran wrap. This was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Dude, my buddy Mickey Martin, RIP, got busted in Oakland for doing like Butterfingers and like reefer like cups. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking like
Yeah.
93, 94, right?
Yep.
These motherfuckers were hardwired. Now, let me say on the other hand of that, my brother, married to a Catholic woman, fucking no criminal record. You
Right.
know, um, when I bring him back the 10 milligram edibles from California, he's relieved. And the thing is, for me, dude, if I take some acid or I'm like out like partying or whatever, I know I can come home and take three like Cali edibles, right? And if I fall asleep before I need to fucking eat, that's fine. People walk into Pose. with like a 500 milligram edible for me, right? It's not even in the Ziploc bags that zip. It's like the ones you have to like lick, and they're really nice people, and they're trying to do something very nice for me, Dan.
Right.
And yeah, but then you brought me fucking pot last time. It was in a fucking jar at least, right?
Yeah.
I don't have time for someone to hand me a fucking 500 milligram edible,
You're too
and
old
like,
for that.
and I don't even know them, right? But the thing is, that makes me laugh because it reminds me of what you were saying back in the day there. But
Right.
also, I see the value of both of those because at the end of the day, I have plenty of time for valleys. I can't necessarily have peaks. Even when I do acid now, Kenny introduced me like the spray. You take two or three of the sprays, you're somewhere between like your phone moving and like the sun glistening. I don't have time to go to where I'm staring at a tree because I've avoided coming home and like looking at my son on
Yeah.
acid, and
Good.
that's one of my goals.
Good. That's a good bar. Yeah, I just so I guess back to my jag is that there used to like I miss the plug. Like I don't miss working for getting dope, right? Like that
Yeah.
sucked, right? But I think it's gotten so commercialized. It's just like all this over the top packaging and I think there's more put into the packaging than the dope now. And
No doubt. And the thing is about that that I'll say is that's why I still will get like my shit from people that I directly know. It's like, dude, I love jumping on like an Amtrak and meeting some guys in New York City for dinner and having stuff that like they grew like, with their own hands. And like, dude, shit's flooded on the market here on the street. Like there's motherfuckers like, hitting you in private stories, like the green story thing and being
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yo, $90 ounces. And like over the past week, just because like I like a lot of these people and like the economy's so fucked up, right? That like probably 10 years ago, there was like a portion of the society that had like the Bone Thugs and Harmony first of the month kind of like problem, right? That has expanded to probably like 60 to 70% of like the population, like in this day and age, right? So you're seeing like I see sales drop off at the end of the month, and I see people like hustling at the end of the month to like pay their motherfucking like bills, so I've grabbed a couple like 80, 90, $100 ounces because guess what, dude? I smoke so many fucking dubs and like me being like social, like I'll walk up to my restaurant, someone will start fucking talking to me. I'll just hand them a fucking like joint and like move on to like the next thing that I need to be doing. So like
sure.
I'm in a joint economy, like you know what I mean? Like someone gives me an ounce of mushrooms, I'm just like giving people grams of mushrooms. I'm just kind of like that kind of like dude. But I like to keep my head up here because the thing is like I need to be sharp. Like, what I smoke for breakfast would like be good for like most people's hospice? Yes. But at the same time, I know that I need to have a quality of what I'm doing because I am literally at my peak creatively and functionally
Sure.
when most people would be comatose. And guess what? That makes my life feel like a video game, Dan.
Well, I hope you're staying away from the dabs. That
Oh
shit's like
God.
when people do dabs, I go, you need another medicine. You need to move on to something else. You might need an
I lived through the
antidepressant or
fucking
something.
live torch fucking era. I've lived through the hot nail era. I lived through the fucking we went to Colorado um,
Right.
and did a documentary in probably 2009, just when it first came out. Me and my buddy Adam, my wife, we went out there. We had carte blanche from fucking Denver to below like Fort Collins, wherever the fucking what's his name is, the NORAD. They can track Santa Claus. They can't track planes with 9/11. But that's a really weird part of Colorado. But all the way down through Fort Collins, we ran like the gamut down there. And one of the most, and this is like the last, probably maybe the last dab I fucking took, Dan. We were in the Rocky Mountains, like driving up through Boulder, and we're just like hitting this like goats, something goat like shatter and stuff like that. And you're just like,
Sure.
Jesus Christ, dude. And I know these dudes that smoke the rosin and all that shit. Like, I can't be stoned like that. Like, if I have a joint in my mouth and I'm like working on an idea or like I'm talking to you, like it's literally like rumbling like with me. Like, you do something like that, you're like fucking literally like, putting you in a place. Like, and salute if you have the fucking time to fucking do a dab and watch like True Romance, then. Like, I really wish like, I did. But at the end of the day, dabs and functionality don't really make that much sense. And like pens too, dude. Like, pens for me, I'll get a pen and it'll say it's live resin. They call it the Pennsylvania medical marijuana. People like, look, 5 years ago, there was no bud. It was just oil. And the people that were growing it didn't know what they were doing. And like
Right.
vids are coming out of like the fucking warehouses, Dan, of like literally like moldy shit that they're just like throwing into like live resin like containers that look like something out of like fucking like Alien, right?
Right.
And just like creating all these products. And then if they're tested, it's like, whoa, dude. So like I do respect the hash rosin people. There is some hash rosin people in Philly that make great shit. I don't mind me a hash rosin gummy, I'll tell you that much. But also, um, that's essentially crack comparatively to that. And I feel like that the maintenance on staying high in that capacity is probably like insane. I never really feel high until I like walk into something, like, you know what I mean? But like, you know, um, I can't take that to the fucking dome, Daniel.
I think I always kept thinking with the fucking dabs is like that's what's going to get marijuana a bad name. Like someone's going to fucking die of pot,
The,
and that's like
they tried that hard. I mean, essentially, it is like freebasing, pot. And Puffco and a couple other people have made some delivery systems that are interesting. Like, in the wintertime, I had one of these things. It was like the Puffco thing that you lift up and you put it in and you click it and you put it in a thing. But the thing that I had it in was like kind of like a bong, like a round bong type of thing.
right,
And that was nice, like hitting the couch here and there. But like, my mind is always like moving. Like I'll be like doing something, then I'll be stoned and I'll get up and I'll just like write something down or like I'll look for something or whatever. There is a certain incapacitation about that that kind of that is just not my speed.
right. I hear you,
You
man.
know,
Well, brother, we're gonna wrap it up. Is there anything you'd like to plug to the viewers, the listeners, before we jump off?
if you come into Philly, look, we get a lot of people on the weekends, the holidays that come in from around Pennsylvania and just around like pretty the North Atlantic. I met a guy today. He was in fucking 1,000 breweries. Dan, he came in. He was a ball breaker. But you know what? I bought him a fucking sandwich because guess what, dude? Like, I love the brewery scene. I love being in it, and I love that people get excited to come to Pose because to bring everything back around, with Pose and Human Robot being fucking both pretty respected in their industries, that it does create a nice little buzz. And when you do come down to Post Sandwich Joint and Human Robot Original, stop by the new Post Sidepiece, which isn't that far away, which has a completely different menu, Dan. Like I am one of these jerk offs that like I'm gonna open another place and I'm just like, oh, here's the same fucking like thing. Like I'm actively working on things and I'm putting in a really cool Paisan menu in the fall. And I hope that your ass could fucking come out and see us too. Maybe Oktoberfest, Dan?
Yeah, it's not impossible. I remember I said I'm still looking for work. Fucking
Yeah, I
8
mean,
months now,
I
but
feel
I
like
still just got to come on out.
I feel like Post Sandwich Drink could throw up for one side of the plane ticket to sponsor something while you're out here. So
Well, that
we'll talk.
we can discuss the franchise out for LA. So,
Sounds great, Dan. My
all right,
mother-in-law's out
baby.
there. I appreciate
All
your
right.
time. I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, and don't turn this off because it's got to upload.
All right, word.
And you're gonna walk towards the darkness. The light side, dreaming about life, and you're gonna walk into the light. Well, don't you know that the reason for all life is the sun in the sky? I gotta stop wondering why. I had some stress, but it's gone. Didn't know what was wrong. Not really sure what we have to hide. Have to explain the need to get by. Is everyone dying? The dark side, you're thinking about night, and you're gonna walk towards the darkness. The light side, you're dreaming about life, and you're gonna walk into the light. The dark side, you're thinking about night, and you're gonna walk towards the darkness. The light side, you're dreaming about night, and you're gonna walk into the light on earth. light side of life. The dark side, you're dreaming about night, and you're gonna walk towards the darkness. The light side, you're dreaming about life, and you're gonna walk into the light.